Hey guys, this is your girl Jen Jen, and I'm back with another. For those of you that are new here, welcome to my channel. Okay, guys, please like, subscribe, and share. Okay, I know this may not be for everyone. I'm sure at least one person. If there's only like one person that this could resonate with, so please share it with your family and friends. Okay, so today I want to talk about something that I've never shared publicly. As you can see in the story, and the title, "My Father Broke My Heart." I never said sorry, and I struggled with this for a long time because I wasn't sure if I wanted to share it honestly. But you know what? I decided like, hey, I'm just gonna sit here. On my couch, and I'm just going to share it because I feel like honestly time has passed and I have healed from it, so I feel like okay, it's time to share it now. Also, like, my father is deceased. All right, so I grew up in a very small community where my mom had, oh my gosh, who keep calling me? My mom has my mom has 7 kids, 4 boys, 3 girls. And even though we were raised with our mom, our father was a part of our life. He was very present, I can say. And I was like the middle childish, but even with all of us, I was my father's favorite. Also, my father had older children prior to my mom, but everyone just kind of knew, listen, I'm the favorite. Okay, I'm just the favorite. All right. So even though, like I said, I was raised with our mom or dad, he was there when we were younger. And even though he didn't live in the house, he was very present. He'd show up, he'd provide, take care of things. My dad never really said I love you or like give you hugs or anything like that. And honestly, I can't remember ever having like any heartfelt conversation with my dad. He was just like emotionally unavailable, right? And but as a child, he spoiled me. Especially, he gave me everything that I wanted. He gave me the most money. He made sure I was good. I don't know, I was just his favorite child. Maybe I was so much like him. I don't know why. I was just his favorite. And so that felt good. To like, I felt so special. It felt chosen. I truly believe nothing could ever come between me and my dad. That's just what I thought, because the way he treated me so special, I just felt like nothing could come between that. But looking back now, I realized that he was emotionally unavailable. And but as a child, I just saw a man love me the best way he knew how, right? And of course, I loved him. At back then, at that point, I probably do love him. I probably did love him more than my mom, cause like he treat me better, just because he could. Um, yeah. So, but then things start to change. My parents broke up when I was young, and my dad ended up in another relationship um, with a woman who, to be honest, she didn't care for his children at all. He had 4 kids with my mom, 4 of the kids he had with my mom. And somehow that didn't stop him from just marrying someone else. And oh no, someone else who just made it clear that, listen, your kids just weren't going to be part of the picture. um he told us it was for an opportunity. That's what he told my mom. Like, he was going to marry this lady for an opportunity. Gives him an opportunity to go to Canada, to make life better for all of us. That's the story he told, like most men do. So we're here thinking, okay, he's going to go to Canada. He's going to get married to this lady. He's going to go to Canada, and it's just gonna work out for all of us. Life is gonna get better for all of us, right? I was gonna go to school in Canada. I was gonna go to high school in Canada. I was gonna go to college. Like, I was like, yes, this is the best thing that could ever happen to my dad. And so at first he was still helping my mom financially. So my dad was a firefighter. He was a chief a firefighter. So he was like up there. And he also was an accountant, right? And so he was doing well for himself. And so he retired and went to Canada to live with this woman, married this woman, and went to Canada. And he had 2 pensions. And of course, he left them to me because I'm his favorite, right? I'm his favorite child, okay? So of course he left it to me. One, my mom was able to get because it was more local and they knew her, and she was able to get that on my behalf. The other one I would get for myself, and I would give it to my mom, obviously, to take care of us. So, even though he wasn't sending money from abroad, he was still helping us financially because we were getting the pensions. My mom did the best she could do with it. Also, it's not like it was a lot, but listen, she did the best she could do, and it was better than nothing. And it was, honestly, it was okay. It was very helpful. Let's say that it was very helpful. So that meant a lot. But then something very embarrassing happened. I'll never forget. My mom went to pick the money up, and they told her, well, why didn't anybody tell you? And she was like, tell you what? And I was like, and they were like, well, his wife is now getting the money. And like, it was so embarrassing. I remember feeling so embarrassed for my mom. Like, my mom literally had tears running down her eyes because couldn't believe that, like, the man come to Jamaica and made that change and said nothing to me and my mom. I really felt bad for her. So then now that he took that away from us, so we had no financial help from it at all. But you know what, it really did broke something in me, because I was his favorite girl, right? I was his favorite child. Like, he did everything for me, so how could he just stop? Like, forget about my mom. Like, in that moment also, I was being selfish. I was like, forget about my other siblings. Like, I'm your favorite. Like, I understand if you want to do that to my mom, but how could you do that to me? Like, and so, I was hurt. I really was hurt. I was confused. I was angry. I felt betrayed. I started to internalize it. And, I began to feel like I really wasn't enough. I wasn't good enough. Because, I was like, if I was good enough, like, why would he leave me and then start taking things away from me, right? And the funny thing is that followed me into adult relationships. I would like self-sabotage, like push people away. I would think like I'm just not good enough, because I was like, well, if my father that loved me so much, that gave me everything, that I was his favorite, if he left me without saying a word, like, everybody else can leave, anybody else can leave. So that's how I internalized it, and that's how I was operating in most of my relationships, right? I had to go to therapy, and it was not until I went into therapy that I actually knew that's what was going on. I was just carrying this deep wound from childhood and just bringing it into every relationship without even realizing it. And I think another thing that really hurt me was my dad. He promised my son a bike, and my son was like 5 or 6 or something like that. And my dad kept saying, I'm going to buy you a bike. And my son keep asking, when is my grandfather gonna get me the bike? When is my grandfather get me the bike? And I just saw him so disappointed. I remember how he disappointed me, and I didn't want that for my son, especially because I was a single mom. So I'm still a single mom, by the way. Yeah. So I went ahead and I got my son the bike, and I just like I didn't try to foster a relationship between him and my son anymore, because like he was disappointed. Also, like he would also promise him other things, but I feel like that stuck with my son because he kept asking and he never forgot. Even when my son was much older, it was like, why didn't my grandfather get me the bike? And I was like, I don't know. So yeah, that was something that was it really disappointed me. And so honestly, our relationship became very strained. We weren't close anymore. We became strangers. And I think the once he went to Canada, like his wife did not care. Obviously, she never intended for us to be a part of the picture. And when my dad went to Canada, he was trying to get my two older sisters, because my dad had older kids outside of my mom. So he was trying to get my two older sister there, and his wife was like, no, he's not gonna help him. And then she needed his help. He needed her help to get them there, and his wife at the time was like, oh no, I don't want them here, and she was like, I don't want that lady kids here, referring to my mom. And because I think sometimes like her and my mom like used to go back and forth or whatever. So just like, no, I don't want her kids here, and that was just like so disheartening. So that was the dream that we had of having a better life, of going abroad, to get a better life. I just felt like it died right there. And even though she wasn't helpful, like my dad could have get us later when he didn't need any help. He could have done it by himself later, but he just never did. And our relationship just, there was like no relationship. We became strangers. There was a point in time where I didn't speak to my dad for so many years. There was no relationship. He would come to Jamaica, mind you, like he would come to the very same district that we always in, and sometimes it would be people that tell us that they saw him, and he never tried to see us. He never tried to build a relationship. Because I remember even times when I used to call, his wife would like make it a big thing, and she would just lie all the time, and she was just trying to cause all this chaos and confusion because she didn't want us to have a relationship with him. She wanted to, and I'm like, what kind of person are you? Like, why would you do that? Like, come on, like you interrupt our life, because when you come along, her father, like, you already had kids with my mom, so it's not like we disrupt your life, lady. You're the one who disrupt our life. Okay, at the end of the day, ultimately it was my father who allowed her to do it. But I'm just saying, like, she's acting like we disrupt something. No, she was the one who come in and disrupt our lives. So that was very disappointing. That was very hurtful to see. At the time, I internalized that, okay, he chose his wife, and I think they have a kid together or whatever. I don't know. Over us. So we became strangers. We didn't talk for so many years, and I think honestly, I bring like that wound, that pain from my dad. I bring it into every relationship, every single relationship that I have had, until I went to therapy. I started therapy in 2020. Every relationship prior to that, I bring my dad into it. So see, that's a lot. I had to unpack a lot in therapy. I had to learn a lot about why I was the way I was, why I was so angry, why I was so hurt. And it's always coming from a lot of what happened with my dad and just other childhood stuff, you know. So later on, my dad he got sick. I didn't know he was sick, but I felt like so many years has passed. I'm grown. I'm an adult now. I felt like I passed the worst. I don't need him. I reached out. I tried to rekindle the relationship, because I was like, at the end of the day, that was my father. He was like my hero. He was like, I was his favorite. He did everything for me when I was little. So I was like, okay, at the end of the day, this is my father. I reached out to him. And the relationship was going good for a little bit. And then I remember he told me he was sick. He had kidney issues and he had to go on dialysis starting next week. And I was like, listen, at the time I didn't know nothing. I don't know nothing about dialysis or anything, all right? So when my father told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, she's dying. That's what I was saying to myself. I was like, oh my gosh, she's dying. I didn't even know that, like, people could live, like, years on that. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's dying. Oh my gosh, she's dying. So I called my siblings up, all of them, and I was like, listen, you need to reach out to your father, because my father didn't have any type of relationship with any of his kids except the one he had with his wife. And my father has, like, I think like 8 kids or 9 kids. I don't even remember, honestly. So I was like, you guys have to reach out to him, because he's dying, like, he's on dialysis, and his kidneys going bad, so y'all really gotta reach out to him and talk to him. So my siblings start to call him, and then the man called me, and he was so upset. He was like, you are such a liar, like, girl, I didn't tell you anything. Like, he and his wife, right? And it was like, I didn't tell you that. I didn't tell you what was going on no dialysis machine. Why would you tell the people? Why would you tell everyone that? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I crazy? Like, am I really losing my mind? Like, why is this man tell me he didn't tell me that? Like, this was not a dream. This was a conversation we had. And it caused a big thing with his wife. Also made it a big thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember now why, like, I stay away from you. I remember, like, why we weren't in touch, because she's always creating something. She's always causing some sort of chaos. She's so chaotic. I decided, like, listen, I think this was around 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. I was like, listen, I'm done. I'm not trying to foster, I'm not trying to rekindle nothing with this man. Listen, that's it. I'm done. If he needs me, I'm there. If he needs something and I can help him, fine. If he's sick and he needs me and I can help him anyway, fine. But I'm not trying to, at this point, listen, he's been absent from my life for most of my life. I'm not trying to rekindle nothing at this point, because clearly his wife is always going to be in the middle. Clearly she's always going to make problems. So that was the last time I spoke to my dad. I never speak to him again. I think like maybe a year later or a few months, I don't remember, one of my siblings that's not from my mom reached out and said the same thing. He was on dialysis. He had the kidney issues. And I was like, wow, that's very interesting, because, like, I don't know. Oh my gosh. I could see into the future right now. Like, oh my gosh, what am I could really see in the future, because a year ago or a few months ago, I know this man told me that. So how come it's happening a year later? I was like, wow, okay, see? And, I just, even though my siblings, like, was like, just reach out to him. Like, I was just so tired of, like, trying to reach out over the years, and his wife causing so much chaos and stuff like that. And my other siblings with my mom, I don't think they really cared to, like, reach out to him or anything like that, because I think, like, my dad and I always has the closest bond over the years. Even when it was strained, I think my sisters just, my other siblings, they just didn't care, honestly. And I didn't speak to him since then. And I think in 2023, my sister told me, she said, I have sad news. And I was like, what it is? And she said, your father passed away. And I immediately felt so much guilt. I felt all the pain all over again. I was just so guilty that I didn't get the opportunity to say I forgive you. I didn't get the opportunity to say I love you and I still care about you. And I really carried that guilt with me for a few months, because I was just like, you know, if I wasn't, I think the reason why I was guilty, yes, I'm forgetting this important part. The reason why I was guilty, because a week prior to my father passing, the spirit's been nudging me like, call him, call him, call him. And I didn't call him, and then it was like, write a Facebook post, because by this I was already sharing a little bit, opening up a little bit on social media. And the spirit was like, reach out to him, reach out to him, and then make a Facebook post. And I was going to make a post and to say, I don't know if my father is gonna pass, or I haven't spoken to him in so long, but I'm just sharing this now. And I didn't do that, so I felt really guilty that I didn't reach out or I didn't make the post. And you know, as I said, I had to like go to therapy, and you know, the therapist helped me to unpack and to heal from all of that. So thank God healed from all of that, and thank God now I can have healthier relationships without bringing all that hurt and pain from my dad into my new relationships. So you know, this like it was hard. It was a hard thing to live through. Even though we weren't close anymore, it still was a hard thing to live through. But you know, I learned, and I healed, and it wasn't easy, guys. It really truly wasn't easy. But thank God I'm on the other side of that. So I just want to say to somebody, if your parents are still alive, please, I'm asking, I'm begging, even if you don't talk to them every day, reach out to them, check in here and there. If you're in the position to bless them, bless them. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for them to say sorry. Sometimes sorry will never come. My father never said sorry, and I think also that was a big thing. Like, I was waiting, I was hoping that he would get to the point where he's like, I'm sorry for what I did to you and your siblings. But I never got that, and I never got the chance to tell him that I forgive him. I don't want you to carry the same guilt that I carry. So I'm imploring you, please, if you have a parent, a family member, whatever it is, reach out to them, let them know that you love them and you forgive them, regardless. So thank you for always watching. Thank you for listening to your girl Jan Jan, and I'll see you in my next video, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, I love you all.